Hi, everyone. Let's go ahead and get started here. My name is Raquel Vasquez, and I am the CaFÉ Program Manager. Today, we're going to be covering products and revenue management on CaFÉ. If you collect entry fees on CaFÉ, this is going to be very relevant to what the tasks that you do in CaFÉ and how you pull the transaction information and how that makes sense with the remittances that you receive on a monthly basis. And things like that. Happy holidays. I'm glad that you all were able to join us today right before the holidays. I know a lot of you are going on vacation and taking some time off, so I appreciate that you were able to make it. All right, so today we're going to be viewing the CaFÉ Administrator account at admin.callforentry.org, and that's the page that you're seeing now. Okay, so some of the key items that we're going to cover include the product editor, and the entry fee setup. So again, if you collect entry fees for any of your call for entries, you've probably set up some of your costs to apply and maybe have some questions about that. Also, what is a media fee? And then what is the other fees that are available to set up in the CaFÉ product editor. Also, we'll take a look at what the artist transactions look like from the events management side, and then we'll take a look at the income breakdown so that you can maybe have some questions about how you read and compare the remittance check to the income breakdown spreadsheet. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to log in. This is our CaFÉ test account. We're going to go ahead and start with the call editor, and then we're going to move over to the product editor from there. So I'm just going to pick one of our events. Here's your call editor button. And then here's your tabbed page. You all are familiar with this page. I'm going to go ahead and go to the product editor. Okay. So this is where you set up your entry fee costs to apply. When you fill out the client information form, that either the online form or the paper form, we ask you to give us some basic information about your call. That's where you note if you wish to collect any entry fees. The CaFÉ team, when they're setting up the template for you, they will initially input just the main entry fee cost because we're required to put in that item at the beginning, but we always ask that you follow through and complete adding any other entry fees that you might have and verifying that the cost is correct and making the corrections there. So you always want to check your product editor page before you launch your call to make sure that all the fees are set up correctly for you and that you're making the edits and making additional product additions that you might need. Okay, so let's go over the different types of fees available so you know what to request on your form or how to adjust your fees if necessary. Oops, sorry about that. First, we'll go to the call editor in the product editor tab, which is the page we're on. Okay, and as you can see in this example, we have the ability to add 2 entry fees. The first one is always required, even if it's a 0 cost. So this first little box can be 0. If you have a second kind of entry fee, you're also able to add a second one. If you have an optional fee, let's say you're selling t-shirts or a catalog or something like that, you can actually use the admin fee to do that. But in this example, we have 2 entry fees, and they could be priced differently. One could be a member fee, and one could be a non-member fee. So I went ahead and just updated that so you could see how my cost changed. There is a requirement from the artist that they self-select the entry fee that is applicable to them. Unfortunately, we don't have a way right now to do a logic and verify which fee they are supposed to go into. So we really depend on the artist to select the fee that is the appropriate one to them. Like I said, the admin fee is an optional fee. So if you were selling t-shirts, a catalog, or something that was not a requirement as part of the entry fee or as part of entering your call, you could set that product up. Other fee, as is shown here, this works with the confirmation deadline. So if, let's say you were doing an artist studio tour and 50 artists were selected, and those 50 artists have been invited and you're requesting a participation fee from them. Participation fee might be something like $200 because it'll include marketing, map printing, things like that. And a participation fee would be applicable for those artists that got invited. And so if you were to set the other fee up and the cost, then your invited artist would be able to return to CaFÉ, accept their invitation, and proceed to pay that participation fee. And again, the other is the product type that would work for that. It is very common for calls to be juried by artwork and to charge per image. We have a lot of juried exhibitions that are that way. So in that case, this can be accomplished with the media fee. Let me see if I can find an example of that. So in this situation, we have a call that is looking for individual pieces of work, and they have categories, and they have 1 to 3 images. And in the product editor, they have 1 entry fee. Let's say they wanted to charge $5 for the second and third image. This is where the media fee would come in handy for you. The media fee applies to any number of images submitted above the minimum. So here's a few examples that can work. Let's call this additional image. Make this $5. I'm going to add that. And now I have an entry fee and a media fee. So let's say if you want to charge $10 for the first image and $5 for each additional image submitted, the first image would be $10, and then the second image would be $5, so that's $15, and then your third image would be another $5, so that's a $20 entry fee. And the image minimum is set right here, and you'll see that under the application editor. The image media is very tied in to the entry fee because it determines what the minimum quantity is, and then the entry fee will be applied to the minimum quantity. There is another option that we get requests a lot for. Unfortunately, this is not something that we're able to accommodate in CaFÉ. Let's say you wanted the first 1 to 2 images to be $25 and 3 to 5 images to be $55. There is no way we can charge for a range of images for the 1 to 2. That is a range. It's not a minimum quantity or a set quantity, and we wouldn't be able to accommodate that, but there is a workaround we might be able to, as long as you're flexible. So in order to accomplish that, there's one of 2 scenarios. Either require artists to submit at least 2 images, so the minimum number would be 2, and the entry fee would be $25. Then your media fee is $10. So this accomplishes the same results, but it does require artists to submit 2 images in order to apply. They wouldn't be able to do 1 to 2. They would be required to do minimum 2. Alternatively, you could charge $15 for the first image, is the entry fee, and then $10 for the additional image fee, which is your media fee. So that breaks down to about the same, 15 for 1, 25 for 2, 35 for 3, etc. So there's ways that we can work around. You just have to be able to be flexible with some of your entry fee requirements. And in many cases, you don't have to lower your fee. You just have to think of it in a different way. Okay? The media fee is used to charge artists per media upload. And the entry fee in this case is applied to the minimum image requirement. The media fee is applied to anything above the minimum image requirement. So the 2 modules talk to one another, media and product editor. They're both seeing what the other one is set to. So there is no option to charge for a range of images. I just want to make that clear. Media fee is only available if you're jurying individual works. It's not going to be available if you're jurying in a whole application. So let's say you're doing a public art commission where artists are submitting a whole application for qualifications, and it requires a 10-image portfolio. That kind of application you would not be able to charge per additional image. It would be just one entry fee per the application. And that's because the images are not separated out in the system. So there's nothing to individually count and apply a fee to. Okay. So just remember that you do have the ability to set up 2 entry fees. The entry fee is on the honor system. So the artist does have to select the fee that is appropriate to them at checkout. We don't verify whether that fee is applicable to them or not. We just don't have that mechanism to do so. So we depend on the applicant to be certain that that entry fee is related to them. So when a call is a jury by artist or jury by application, you'll see the 1 transaction fee is listed if you're just collecting an entry fee. All the transactions are listed when you select the applications that have been received, and then you get the table down below. You'll see the transaction stamp. Keep in mind that this transaction is not the full amount paid. This is just the timestamp of when and the time that they checked out, and it will have your entry fee, which is the initial entry fee, but it's not totaling it up here. So just keep that in mind. For both calls, either whether it's jury by artist or jury by artwork, you'll see the transaction will include anything that might have had a coupon. So if the applicant used a coupon at checkout, it'll be listed within this little transaction box that I'm highlighting here. And if you're familiar with coupons redeemed, the coupon is just similar to a promo code. You would have set that up prior to making your call go live. All right. Let's take a look at another example of transactions. Let me go ahead and go to this one. Okay, and in this example, we have some applications that use the check to pay at checkout, and checks, if they'll, once they are received, when the check is received and you have it, have it ready for deposit on your end, make sure that you change the transaction from pending or not received to received. So that's that helps you keep track of who has submitted their check payments, and that way you can move them from awaiting payment by check to the received status. And that's sometimes an overlooked piece for receiving checks because you oftentimes forget to. Here's an example of one that's still pending that should be changed to received. That way you know that you have received payment from that individual, and you don't leave it up to guessing. Okay. And again, this is not the full amount that was paid. This would reflect only the entry fee product amount. You always still want to look at your income breakdown, which we'll go to in a little bit to see the amount that they paid. So all CaFÉ administrators have access to the income breakdown report. That's where you can pull the full report of your revenue. So we're going to take a look at that income breakdown report and all the options available to you within the report. We'll also take a look at that report, the spreadsheet, and then compare it to just a sample remittance check. Income breakdown is available under report and income breakdown. We're there. So this page allows you to choose the date range, only pull up the kinds of income that you've collected. So if you were accepting checks and you don't want to see the revenue for checks, you can hide that information. Same thing with card payments. You can choose to hide or reveal the types of payment methods. For those of you that accept checks, that is still a paper, a check kind of payment method. Those are mailed directly to you and your organization. CaFÉ does not handle any check payments from artists, so we don't have access to any of those payments. They should be going directly to you and the mailing address that you provided. So our remittance that you receive on a monthly basis is only for credit card income that was collected for the month. All right, so make sure that you can navigate to your income breakdown report under the reports menu, which we're at. So we remit monthly payouts based on the the income from the month before. So when you get your remittance statement, you want to make sure that the amount remitted matches the income from the month before, less any other fees that we may have had to deduct, like application fee or the per artist fee. So you always want to make sure that you're reviewing that on a monthly basis. And you always want to start with the month. Make sure that you get the month correct. If there's a 31 in the month, make sure that you include that. If there's not a 31, make sure that you exclude that from viewing the income breakdown report. And then, of course, you can select per call, or you can select your entire calls that are active at that time. And running the report is pretty simple. I've got my date range. I'm hiding all credit cards. In this case, I only had one, so that's showing there. I'm going to see what I get if I hide all checks. And I have a few more transactions. So you can see in October, I had 4 transactions totaling $40. And my credit card fee total is $1.30. And that credit card fee is the fee owed to CaFÉ. So that's your 3.25% transaction service fee for all users that check out with their credit card. And you will see those fees deducted on each of your monthly check remittance. So in addition to viewing this information on the page, You can also view this information in a report. So just make sure that you have a program that you can open it via Excel spreadsheet or the CVS sheet so that you're able to download your report and share it with your treasurer or your procurement officer or whoever is in charge of viewing that monthly income. So when you download your income breakdown report, you'll see that your income breakdown report sheet includes it's columned information. So you'll see transaction ID, transactions, date, the purchaser, the amount, the credit card fee, the net amount, the description, the details, and the license fee. So this is all just sort of data that's being collected and input into the sheet. At the bottom of the report, you'll see the totals for the income period and the events. And if you have multiple events listed, it'll break out the income by event. So the income breakdown report does not include any fees that you paid to CaFÉ for the actual service. So you're not going to see application and jury module fees here. You're just going to be seeing credit card fees and entry fees. Let's go ahead and compare the income breakdown to a remittance check. So this is an income breakdown report. This is just a sample one that we downloaded. It's just for a fake licensee, but it has our purchase date being in, looks like November, our call name, the name of the applicant, the description, the cost, coupon codes, if any were used, the total, less the credit card fee, and the net amount. It also includes the card type, whether they paid with MasterCard, PayPal, etc., and some approval codes. And of course, the transaction time period. Okay. And here is a sample remittance check. Okay. So our finance department does daily reconciliation. And so your remittance check may show $155 collected on November 3rd, for example. That doesn't mean one person paid $155 or that your entry fee was $155. It means that the total for that day was $155. And if we look over on our income breakdown, we'll be able to find November 3rd. Here we go. It's highlighted in orange. November 3rd had several transactions. That totaled $155. So the remittance check will reflect that. The remittance check will also reflect the credit card fees, if any. So those are down listed at the bottom of that remittance check. All right, so just recap that. So on the example remittance check, you'll see the following key details at the top. You'll see your organization name, billing contact, billing address. At any time, if there's any incorrect information on your remittance statement, you need to let us know right away so that we can update contact information and we need to make sure that it is going to the correct mailbox. Checks need to be cashed within 90 days, I believe. And so we appreciate you depositing your check as quickly as possible. And you'll see also there's a check date. So that's how we're able to keep track of that information. Okay. So we went ahead and did an example of the $155 that was collected by the organization. Again, that was not one transaction for 55, but it was several transactions totaling $155. If you have more than one call collecting income in a month, you say you're really busy and you're running 2 calls simultaneously, you can differentiate the income by the first few numbers listed in your voucher number. So this is what we call the call ID. So every ID that you set up, every instance generates an ID number, and we are using that ID number to designate that information on the remittance check. And you'll see that in this voucher example, 1, 2, 3, 4 would be the call ID. Okay? And there's several places where you can actually find that call ID in addition to the income breakdown. Here's an example of that too. So there's your call name, and then the system generates a number for that call name. Okay? All right. Okay, so you'll see at the bottom of the check, we have the credit card fees listed. I mentioned that. So we do the dailies, we add up the month income that was collected, and then the credit card fees are deducted from that. All right. Again, that credit card fee amount is 3.25%, and you may have be aware of that from when you signed the service agreement with us. So that's automatically deducted, and that's shown on the remittance check. If you see on this, well, you do see on this check a per artist fee. So if you received artists for the time period that the call was open, and your pricing plan is $2 per artist, you will see that at addition at the bottom of that list, and those are the additional fees that were deducted. So it's your income breakdown amount, less the credit card fees, less any other fees that you maybe had due. So you just want to make sure that when you receive your remittance check, that you're looking at that information on a monthly basis, and you can cross-check between your income breakdown and your remittance check to make sure that everything looks good and all the totals are in your income breakdown report, and any additional artist fees, when the math is done, that the totals are the same. Okay, so that was a brief overview of events, product editor, and how the media fee is associated and related to the product editor, which is why when you set up a call, we ask you how many image, audio, video will you need minimum, and how many will you need maximum. And then we also ask if you have an entry fee or not. The two are very connected to each other. The reports in your income breakdown report is also where we collect the data about how much you're going to get paid out on a monthly basis. So make sure that you're looking at that information on when you receive it on a monthly basis, and let us know right away. One, if you need to change the mailing or contact information for that, and then if there's anything that you don't understand about the fees that were deducted, or if something is not adding up for you. Okay, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you all so much for joining this webinar. I hope that you have a happy holiday season, and we look forward to providing a CaFÉ service to you again in the new year. We have some new enhancements coming that I think will be exciting for all of you. So thank you so much. We're going to email each of you the recording of the session for future reference, and it's also available on our YouTube channel. And then be sure to join us next for the next webinar in January. Thank you. Thank you all.